What is up, guys? Evan Aldo here. Welcome back to the channel. I got a really important video for you guys right now to talk about ancient, rare, bearish Bitcoin signs on very large time frames. Let's start with the 3 month here. This is regular candles, which generally print the red dots before the Heikin-Ashi, and it's obviously powerful if it's on a time frame this big. Back here, this was the end of this bull run in April of 2018, and you came down from when I did it from the top of the wick here to about the bottom. It was around a 68% correction. The next time it happened, and this is interesting because this was after the Fed ended QT in 2019, we came down about 60% here to your January of, well, we all know pandemic lows essentially, which was 60%. Now, if you take away pandemic lows, it was lower than that, obviously. Maybe it was just a 50%. And then here was, kind of a 70% from this kind of wick right here in the last bear market. I would say that if I had to really guess here, I would say it's probably like 60%, that area, that 47, 48K. That's the inception of the Bitcoin ETF. Now, if we want to, and it would probably happen quarter 2, 3 of next year, I would guess. I guess it could go on until quarter 4, but probably quarter 2 or quarter 3. And now, if you did, the same kind of situation without the pandemic situation, it would have only been 35. So I guess if you want to be really, really, really optimistic here, 35. So it's down to 80K. Possible, but it would. You could argue institutions, all that. I think the big freaking risky person here is Saylor with an average entry of 70 something K on leverage, mind you. Institutions got spooked, including, especially with Tesla last time. History usually has a way of at least rhyming. That could be some fear there. And, generally what comes up must come down. So that's my point there. Also, if we look at the 2 month here, guys, this is also already confirmed. I didn't even realize this confirmed, right? So it's like ancient bear, and your money flow is coming out too, mind you. So this is, and the same thing here, bear div, even, that bear div area. So, it would make sense to come down. Now, it doesn't mean that, I think it's, the bear markets are good, guys. That's the thing people don't realize, because if you're buying Bitcoin at 100K, I know there's people who say we're going to go to 200K by the end of next year or whatever. Not many people are saying 300K just yet, but there's more opportunity if you end up at 300K or 400K by the end of this decade. If we do come back to like 50K, 48K, those kind of areas. My worst case scenario is probably 35, 40K, but I don't think we're going to go that low. But if you go down to those areas, there's a lot more opportunity to make potentially life-changing money. You're going to be waiting a while for Bitcoin to go to $1 million if you buy at 100K, probably 20 or 30 years. It's probably not going to be until the 2040s, I would guess, that Bitcoin's going to $1 million. I think there's going to be a lost decade at some point, probably the 2030s. But that's, a little bit far in the future. We'll worry about that when the time comes. So, we'll see here. So that wave right there. Now, more of the short term. I'll show you guys what I'm doing right now. I entered a new trade, as you can see right here. I'm not going to show you the stop loss or the entry point. This one's over on TapBit. I had the Bitcoin long, and before I gave this one out in advance, I entered it a really little while ago, and it's looking better right now. And it is on Ethereum, but shout out to Flop and Groper this morning, who, check out his interview. I had him on the channel. Really, really good trader. He's been done incredible recently. Really good guy. You can learn a lot from. He's got some, really good strategies and things he looks at. Check out his channel. Check out the interview too. Really smart guy. And yeah, he kind of gave the idea of the potential short area. It was on Bitcoin. I'm kind of doing it on Ethereum because I got the Bitcoin long in. So, I don't know, spread the wealth around a little bit, but we'll see. So ultimately that's there. If you want more info, stop loss and take profit, you could check out the Discord down below where we give that all in advance. Nightshade's been doing pretty well in there too. He's got his channel. KMAX doing well. I'll be honest, like the trading the past like month to 2 months hasn't been the best. Like I was more hoping that we really could jump up higher. And then as I've been saying for the longest time, if we saw more bearish things come out, then I would flip more bearish. And those bearish things came out about, a week ago. So didn't do as well with that, but Nightshade still did very well in there. So I never just blindly follow Evan Aldo's trades or Michael Burry's trades or anyone's trades. We'll talk about Michael Burry in a second. I went short in Palantir, but that it's rare. Use that and look at do your own type of thing within your own strategies, and really try to look there and find different things. So yeah, but check it out down below if you're interested. If you want one free month in there, if you sign up to TapBit down below with my link. So they're doing, this is rare. I mean, you could just sign up without depositing, and you could do like a $50 trade on 1x leverage, and I think it closes out within 24 hours, but it's free money. It's free money. So check it out. And then there's a deposit bonus for 150. You get 100. If you guys sign up with my link down below, deposit at least 150, I'll give you one free month in the Discord. Just open a support ticket with your UID or your email. So check that out, and you get 20% of your fees for life with my link down below. Same 20% of your fees for life with BloFin and BYDFI down below. At this point in a bear market, based on what I just showed you guys too, history has a way of rhyming. We saw exchanges go down in 2022. I don't think these exchanges will go down. I think it's well below a 10% chance, probably like a 2% chance that any of these exchanges will go down. It's usually the American ones that screw up. But be careful. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, please. So yeah, check those out if you're interested. More of the short term here. And let me get on the Coinbase chart. Oops. The Coinbase chart here. You had your nice wick up. I mean, you're kind of in more of that bear market, environment, and you may not get up to 108 or 112 with these big points. You're coming back down. You're losing the spiral line. It doesn't look too hot. It doesn't look too hot. Your EMAs here on your, come on, load a little bit. Internet's been a little slow. EMAs going into the grid again. This could bring you down just like they brought you up here, all the way back down to 102, potentially losing that, going down to 96 in some lower areas. It doesn't look, kind of the best. Now, can we go up and, go up back to 120 or whatever? Sure, it's possible. Anything's possible, but I don't know if you're gonna have that. I just look. My real gut tells me, based on this analysis, based on what I'm looking at, and I mean, you got I'm not gonna say any names. James Nguyen keep calling for Black Friday crashing and all that, but it's kind of like the boy who cried wolf. I mean, I don't think it's gonna crash that insane, but if you keep calling, it's gonna go down. It eventually, well, at some point, you know what I mean. Like, those type of things. So, I just don't, I think you could, drop this, lose 96, and then your main target too, breaking down from kind of what we saw, that area, if you break down from that area, this big area right here, and here, so essentially here to there. There's another one, but it's around 70K. That's your target right there, guys. That's around 70K. Ethereum, let's look at a little bit, rejecting from this point, and I think it can, continue to reject from this point here, coming down, potentially breaking down further, 3,300, those kind of areas. So that's what I do think. These EMAs, I have a bad feeling here. I think they will go into the gray. Now, there's always going to be a bullish case, obviously, and they're already in the gray. And the 2-day, you just look at the last time they came into the gray here. I mean, this could be all the way, I don't know, hopefully it's not all the way back down to 1,400 and nail in the coffin, but, it could be in early 26, a grind downward, into a potential bear market. We'll see what happens, though. We'll see what happens. The positive thing, I think, on Ethereum versus Bitcoin now is, I think, similarly to 2019, what you saw back here when they ended QT this time, what you saw back here when they ended QT, you came down a little bit more, and then you outperformed Bitcoin. You started to outperform Bitcoin. If we can do this, Ethereum is in a much stronger position. If you can outperform Bitcoin from here onward, Ethereum is in a much stronger position. I think you can, similarly to what we saw the last time they ended QT. If I had to guess here, I think it's going to be similar to when they ended QT in 2019. A total of maybe 60% correction for Bitcoin, probably at least 50, but we'll see. And Ethereum outperforming it during that area. I think this bear market may not be as bad for Ethereum. The targets for Ethereum are hard. It's hard to say, guys, but the targets, I mean, we could try to, make sense of it a little bit. You could argue that, kind of losing this area on ETH similar to the Bitcoin target, 2,600 if Bitcoin's at 70K, which is not awful. And then potentially coming down to like, I think best case scenario, like 2,000. I think you want to hold kind of 1,800 in a bear market. You want to kind of hold 1,800 in a bear market. And the thing that's interesting, if Bitcoin goes down, Bitcoin goes down 60%. This may only go down 57. And it bottomed out early against Bitcoin here. It's kind of a mind game here with Ethereum. But if it does hold up better, then it's very good for very freaking momentous for Ethereum, especially into the end of this decade, if it can hold up against Bitcoin for the next 4 to 6 months. Bitcoin dominance, trigger wave confirmed on the 2-week. I think this will go up a little bit more over the next month. I think it will peak out relatively soon as it did after they ended QT here. And the altcoins, including Ethereum especially, but the altcoins that can outperform Bitcoin for the next 4 to 6 months, that's very strong. That's very momentous. So that's what I will say there. We could look at Zcash. It's tough here. My guess on this 2-day kind of thing right there is that you can reject here. Look at this two-day bear div right there, money flow coming out. My view is that you can reject, eventually come down to 300. Be careful. Everyone and their brother is probably trying to short this, so be careful, but I think it's generally cooked. Everyone's talked about it. You saw who their CEO was. If that's not a sell signal, I don't know what it is. Nothing against the CEO. Nothing against the CEO. Just the hype all around it. You know what I mean? When everyone's talking about it, it's kind of sell the news. So yeah, Solana as well, jumping up a little bit here. I think you may have some more potential upside with some of these, but we shall see. Short term, potentially dropping down farther. We'll see what happens, but I don't know if you're gonna, do too much here. We'll see. This one looks better than some other things, but EMA is coming into the gray. I don't know if you're quite there. I mean, that 2-day, the last time you had this, it came down quite a bit. I mean, you had it here. Sometimes it, just goes upward, but, be careful. So we'll see. It's pretty much all I have for you guys right now. Triple Q right now, coming back up. We'll see what happens. Oh, yeah, I wanted to talk about Palantir. I accidentally X'd that out, or no, it's there. I'm going to talk about Palantir as well. NASDAQ looks pretty overheated. I think on this bear div on the 2-week, that could send you down. Just look at the 2-week. When you get some of these red dots do bring you down quite a bit historically, or at least enough to get some red Heiken-Ashi candles, potentially down to 580, maybe down more. This is a huge area for the NASDAQ, that 530. And this wouldn't even be that bad of a correction, like a 15% correction. So if you were to do something like this, and it probably will be less violent than over here, something of this nature, this is like a big point, really big point. Q1, Q2 of next year, that could be a really big point, especially coinciding with Bitcoin at 70K or below. So that's what I'm looking at there. Palantir, Michael Burry shorted it. He's been wrong, it seems like every single time since he made $700 million shorting the housing market in 08. Money flow coming out. This looks pretty much as overheated as possible. You even had a wick up, some weird wick, some like wick up in pre-market or something up to, or post-market up to 220. That was a big fib level too. This has all the signs of a short. Maybe be careful because a lot of people are probably trying to short it, so you may have some more wicks up. But if I had to guess here, I do think that these stocks are going to come down. I think they're severely overvalued, and they should come down at some point. Where does this end up? Where's like kind of the big point? Back to 100, maybe a 50% correction. If it does what a lot of your mania stocks did in 2022 from 2021, 70%. And then it sounds like the biggest bear in the world, but here's a big point too. So any of these points I think you'll eventually hit. So just be careful there. Those are my main views on it. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm just being as objective as I possibly can here. I made a lot of money up on Bitcoin. Did well on ETH, not as well as I would have wanted to do because we only made a slight new all-time high. But I think this is the time where, I've been scaling out, and I'm not regretting it. I think that your S&P 500 will continue to outperform Bitcoin as it did since July. The thing I've been talking about, Berkshire Hathaway, is starting to get its jump up. against the S&P 500. The concern here is Buffett stepping down, obviously, but you know, every time this did well against S&P 500 in 2020, 2022, 2018, 2014. Every time it's dumped about 30% against S&P 500. Now, it's come up a lot against S&P 500 after that. The scary part is it started the correction against the S&P 500 when Buffett announced he was going to step down. So, you know, we'll see. Maybe I think that's an overreaction. Maybe it's a really good deal right here. I bought some. So we'll see what happens. Anyway, guys, smash the like button. I'll see you guys in the Discord. Have a good one. Goodbye.